All right, this is going to be a kind of beginner level just entry how to use Mainstage, which is the program that we use to get those nice pads, string sounds. I'm just gonna kind of give you an overview of the interface that we're looking at. So after you've set up your computer and you open up this interface, you go into full screen. It's gonna open up to this. And so this is what we're gonna be working with. Just kind of to give you an overview. Right here, what we have here is these different sliders. So these control the different sounds that come from the computer itself. So one that you'll never have to use is the piano sound over here. So you just want to make sure that that slider is all the way down. The one to the right is a soft pad. This is one that I use the most. And so this is the one that kind of sounds that ambient sound in the background when I'm playing behind Pastor. So that's a great one that you're going to want to use. This one you want to keep at about right halfway. To the right of that, we have our ambient pad. That is just kind of the background. It's called a drone pad. And so if you look up here, this is kind of the most movement you're going to do in a service. And this controls what key you're in for the song. So if your key is this key of A, you're going to just click that twice, and it's going to, once it lights up, you know it's working. And so once you've done that, you just know to slide up the ambient pads. And you have the background pad. So I usually keep that a little bit below halfway, sometimes a little bit less. It's just kind of background noise. You don't want it to be super prevalent. To the right of that, we have the synth pad. This one is kind of more of a brighter, stringy sound. So this one I don't use as often, usually only if the song requires it. So if I want to do some cool arpeggios. But again, you don't have to use that, so I usually keep that one down unless it's a specific song. To the right of that, we have our string sound. This one I usually keep at about really close to halfway, and this is just a nice, warmer string sound. So I usually keep it about right here, and it sounds really good when you put it with the soft pad. The last one that's gonna make a sound is the organ. I rarely use this. It's just here if you want to mess around with it. I would suggest just don't worry about using that one. And then we have our master. Now this is the one that is always going to be on. You want to make sure this is up if you want any sound to come through. It controls all the sound input. And I just keep it almost at the top, about 3 little dots from the very top. So right about there, you want the master to be for the entire set. Now if you look over here, we have some things that you don't really have to worry about. These 2 buttons, just stay away from those. One of these is just to stop all the pads, so if for whatever reason you need to stop everything from going, once again, I've never had to use that, so just don't worry about that. The pad filter, you want to make sure that this is all the way up. This controls how much of the pads are coming through, so it kind of mutes it if you turn it down. So just make sure it's all the way up, and you don't have to worry about any of that. Down here, we have these 2 faders, and they're connected to the keyboard. So this one on the left is a modulator, so if I'm playing a pad over here on the actual keyboard itself, if you were to slide it, it's going to change the sound. Pretty much don't mess with that. You don't have to use that. The one that you might want to use is the one on the right. So if I was playing soft pad, if you look over on the right slider, it's all the way down. So this is kind of more of a muted sound. But as you turn it up, it becomes a little bit brighter, more aggressive. So anytime I'm doing like a fast song that's a lot of synths, I'll usually mess with that and turn up that slider if I want to have the pads more prevalent. All right, one of the other things you're gonna notice is this little keyboard on the screen. So this really, it's just there to help you. So when I'm playing on the piano, it shows up exactly what I'm doing. So I don't know if you can see it very well, but when I play something on the piano, it also has the same effect on the computer. And so basically it's just reading what I'm playing on the piano on the computer, so it's all in sync. So that's just something that you want to make sure when you're playing on the piano, it's also reading up there. That's how you know the computer is communicating with the piano itself. If you look in the top left over here, you're gonna see we have these 3 buttons. One is called layout, one is edit, and one is the perform mode. So when we first open up Mainstage, it's gonna open up in the edit mode, which is what I just kind of walking you through. Over here in layout, There's a lot of confusing stuff. Basically, it's just where you build your platform and assign different channels. So you don't have to worry about this section. You'll learn a little bit more about this in the troubleshooting video, but just know, that's what it does. And then when you're actually playing the set, you want to go into perform mode. What this is going to do is it's going to take out all the distractions, and it's going to open up big screen, all that you need to focus on for the actual set. So just easy access to, change the keys. If you're moving to C, you'll be able to do that. And you can be able to mess with the sliders on this section too. So this is what I would suggest during the worship set while you're performing. You just keep it on. This keeps it very simple, very big, so you don't have to be squinting to look to see.